When the precogs declare a victim and a killer, their name is embedded in the grain of wood. Since each piece is unique, the shape and grain is unique. The shape and grain is impossible to forge.
I'm sure you all understand the legalistic drawback to pre-crime methodology.
Here we go again.
Look, I'm not with the ACLU on this, Jeff. But let's not kid ourselves. We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will. The commission of the crime itself is absolute metaphysics. The precogs see the future, and they're never wrong.
But it's not the future if you stop it. Isn't that a fundamental paradox?
Yes, it is. You're talking about predetermination, which happens all the time. Why'd you catch that?
Because it was going to fall.
You're certain?
Yeah.
But it didn't fall. You caught it. The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
You ever get any false positives? Someone intends to kill his boss or his wife, but they never go through with it. How do the precogs tell the difference?
Precogs don't see what you intend to do. Only what you will do.
Welcome to the Perfect Movie Podcast, the podcast where we answer the question, is this a perfect movie? I'm Michael.
I'm Kalen.
And today, we are continuing our Steven Spielberg summer series with Minority Report, a movie with Tom Cruise in the future. Minority Report is a movie I think I watched early in my sci-fi journey as a preteen or sometime around then. So... and I think that's the last time I saw it, so I have a new appraisal coming to it as an adult.
Yes.
But it was definitely a movie that I think the first introduced me into certain paradoxes and certain sci-fi ideas.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's exploring the idea of predestination versus free will. So it's a story based on a 1956 Philip K. Dick novel. Philip K. Dick is a sci-fi author who a lot of his books have been turned into movies. Total Recall is a movie based on one of his books. I believe RoboCop is also one. A Scanner Darkly, which is a movie, or Blade Runner is definitely one. And A Scanner Darkly is a movie I like a lot that is also an adaptation of a...
The book for Blade Runner wasn't called Blade Runner.
It's called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yes.
Is what it was called. So a lot of his stories are just kind of about big ideas.
Are all these stories set in the same world?
No, I don't think necessarily.
No?
I think he's just a sci-fi novelist that creates a new novel.
Yeah.
Every so often.
That's what I was going to say going into this movie. I was like, this is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Or Looper.
It's very future noir, which is a thing we've covered in Blade Runner and stuff like that.
Gave me some Fifth Element vibes, too.
Definitely with the precog.
Yeah.
Very Fifth Element, what's her name in Fifth Element? So if you have not watched Minority Report, just a quick summary. It's about in the future.
2054.
There's a division of the police called the Pre-Crime Division that basically there's these 3 people strapped together in a tub that are apparently somehow psychic, and they find murders before they happen. And then the police, get the information. They try to hunt down where the suspect is, and then they stop them. They'll get the info that's the crime will happen and the murder will happen in an hour. And then in that hour, they deduce where the person is and try to stop them before it happens.
And they did this because crime is just so bad before. There's so many murders.
So many.
This was post a Democratic election. So obviously. I'm just kidding. Crime is bad.
Crime was bad, but now it's fixed because of pre-crime. And then one day, the information is all contained on these little red balls, rolls down the little chute, and it says Tom Cruise's character is going to be the next murderer. And he says, how's that possible? I don't even know the man that I'm supposed to murder.
Yeah.
So how is that going to happen? And then the story sort of spirals from there. And I think the thing that will strike you most about this movie is it's very 90s, 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s coded.
Yeah.
Like production wise, like these are all movies that were in my mind as I was watching this. Like we're in a post Matrix world.
Yeah.
iRobot is coming soon. Riddick.
Yeah.
Underworld. Equilibrium, that movie where Christian Bale wears a trench coat and shoots guns.
Yeah. Dystopian futures were like the thing.
Yeah. Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. That's another one.
And Judge Dredd, the remake.
They were all just like, and those, especially those early 2000s ones, were really huge on using like computer generated effects.
Yeah.
And I'd say this is not aged gracefully.
It doesn't look that bad, though. I thought there were some scenes that it didn't look terrible.
It's not all terrible, but I think there's just some stuff that I don't know. To me, it just doesn't look. It used to look really cool, and now it doesn't.
Yeah,
as much
for sure.
It's an interesting one. Let's get into the performance test, where we talk about our favorite actors, scenes, and moments.
It was the performance of a lifetime.
So I think we should talk about the shortest elephant in the room, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Obviously. Not my favorite actor. I'm not a big Tom Cruise guy. I know he was huge. Like, this was, like, probably his peak time. Because then it was, like, Mission Impossible before that. And then all those sequels. And he's your go-to action man.
I mean, he's kind of been peaking for 30 years, but even the peak of the peak is probably, like... early aughts to early or early 90s to early aughts, like 91 to 2001.
I mean, the cool thing about Tom Cruise though is he's like known for doing his own stunts. He's in the action. Rarely has a stunt double. I mean, you see crazy things he's even doing today. I think he rode in on a plane in the Olympics or something crazy. He's a nutty dude. He's very like much a thrill seeker, like adrenaline junkie, and I think that translates very well when he's doing his stuff on screen. I appreciate that from an artistic standpoint, where he's willing to get in there and get in the action. Doing a lot of that in this, and you know what this movie kind of reminds me of too. There was a movie with Christian Bale around the same time, and it was like a Matrix ripoff. Do you know
Equilibrium?
What that's what Equilibrium is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That reminded me of this. But anyways,
Dark City. Just name a sci-fi movie.
V for Vendetta.
There's another one from that time.
Anyways, he was fine. I don't think he's the greatest actor ever. I think when he's given decent material, he's fine. I wanted to call this movie my boring report for the most part.
But Tom Cruise, he runs in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Didn't hit for me. I think the problem is when I go back and watch these like older action films, they just don't hit because I've seen peak action. I've seen Mad Max Fury Road. You know, like it doesn't get much better than that. And so if I go back in time and I watch something that's supposed to be action-packed, even The Matrix doesn't hit the same. I mean, I've seen John Wick now. You know what I'm saying? It's just different things like that. It shows its age. I don't like jump cuts. I don't like, I don't know. It just didn't hit for me. So,
yeah, I think my overall perspective on this movie is like it's interesting material that I think might be in the wrong hands. I don't know. Spielberg's interesting because there's some like really horrific parts of this movie that are actually excellent. Like the eye doctor sequence, I think is like the best part of the movie. And Peter Stormare, shout out to Peter Stormare, who's been a recurring person that we talked about this podcast, the killer in Fargo.
Right.
He is just like so. Tom Cruise needs to because there's eye scanners everywhere, which is very clairvoyant writing as far as like can't go in public without somebody scanning your eyes.
Yeah.
So he has to go to this like backwater doctor in his sketchy apartment that does like illegal eye surgeries for people on the run where he's like, I'm going to take your whole eye out, which I think for anyone, the concept of people like messing with their eyes. I mean, we watch him do like the Clockwork Orange thing where he like pins the eyelids open on Tom Cruise, and just like at least for me, anything like that, I'm just like, get it away from me.
Well, it's such a sensitive organ, you know what I mean? Where it's just.
And then he drugs them, and he starts telling them about, oh, I'm this person from your past that you screwed over, but now you're under the influence of these drugs. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, John. How can I do what I do now? Well, let's say that I did spend an awful lot of time in the prison library. Now, that was a great way to avoid some of the more unpleasant aspects of prison life. Confinement was a real education, a real eye-opener.
Så lilla älskling, nu är doktorn klar med dig. Du är till Gretas tur.
I mean, for true enlightenment, there's nothing quite like, well, let's say, taking a shower while this large fellow with an attitude you can't even knock down with a hammer whispers in your ear, "Oh, Nancy, oh, Nancy." Now, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so very much, John, for putting me there. Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to get to know myself so much better. And now to return the favor.
Would you say this is Spielberg's most interesting film visually? I would say it's different for him.
Yeah.
And that's why you're kind of going back to what you're saying was like, if this was in the hands of a different director, maybe it could have been a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm mostly saying it just seems
or
like
lean more into the source material.
there's parts that almost seem Spielberg classic. Like there's a fight that happens in like this, which made me laugh at the end. They like go into this random hangar. Tom Cruise is on the run. There's a bunch of barrels everywhere. Apparently it's a car factory because at some point they get in a place where cars are being like stamped together. It's very like the droid factory in Star Wars Episode 2. And it feels like an Indiana Jones action sequence that was like shoehorned into this future sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Because then there's like a crane section. There's like a section where two dudes just punch each other on a platform. Like that's classic like Indiana Jones type action.
Right.
And it's like it wants to be equal parts that and equal parts like there's also these really grimy, disgusting moments like the eye doctor moments, like when he's stuck in that apartment and all the like spy spiders are like crawling through the building and they're and we have this like overhang shot where we're going through all the apartments and all the apartments are dingy and disgusting and like the kids are all screaming and terrified and it's like feels gross.
Well, it's like you get your depressing, introspective, dystopian sci-fi. Which is like, it feels weird for Spielberg.
It feels like a different director would have leaned more into the weird gross.
Yeah. Like
that's like
a Ridley Scott or something.
That's the core of this story, I think, is the weird gross part. And it's not the like, I'm a man on the run. And they reshuffled some things from the book to make it, I guess, a little simpler. And also the kidnapped son, which is like fatherhood plot from Steven Spielberg. Totally manufactured for the script, not from the book at all.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. And it just feels like a weird mishmash, like a David Fincher or like you said,
Ridley Scott.
Yeah. Like those are the type of directors I feel like would approach this material like appropriately. And there's parts of this that feel just like weird tonally. Or like every once in a while there'll be like a slapstick joke that's like, this has been dreary and depressing for the last 4 hours. But then there's a slapstick joke about Tom Cruise dropping his eyeballs and they roll down because he was like, I want to keep my eyes because he's going to sneak back in and use the eye scanner to get back into his old job after he's been kicked out. And he drops his eyeballs and they like roll down the walkway. And it's like this little silly moment in what should be like, I think like pretty serious and strange and like distressing for the most part.
Sure.
It should be like 12 monkeys, or what is it? 12 monkeys? 6 monkeys? Like
13 monkeys.
13 monkeys, whatever it is. The Brad or Bruce Willis movie.
Bruce Willis movie, yeah.
That's like weird.
Mm-hmm.
And this, it'll get weird, but then it like kind of goes back in a more cozy space of like, look at this action scene. Look at this.
Well, okay, so the cinematographer, Janusz Kaminski. I'm going to see what he's worked on before. Killer Instinct, 1991. Schindler's List. Jerry Maguire, The Lost World. Saving Private Ryan. So, yeah, a lot of Spielberg stuff. I'm trying to think of see if there's anything like remotely similar to this.
Probably not. And did you do
Indiana Jones
did
and
you
the
do
Kingdom
AI?
Crystal Skull.
AI
AI
would have a
artificial
lot of
intelligence for 2001.
special effects, and that's like right before this movie comes out, I think.
The Terminal, Lincoln.
So he basically is his go-to cinematographer. This feels like a lot of the effect stuff feels like it's like ILM, and ILM did do the effects for this. It just got that early 2000s prequel-y smear on a lot of the effects, which don't look always amazing.
Which is like, it can't really be a critique, though, just because of this. It was just the time, you know. But I don't know. This felt like, to me, it felt like one of those movies that's like obviously is kind of like aping off the success of The Matrix, and like I feel like that's most sci-fi films that came right after The Matrix. Was like they saw that and they saw how much of like a phenomenon that was, and they're like, okay, this is what people want to see. So you get a lot of that dystopian type of stuff. People wearing trench coats and, everything's grimy and disgusting.
But it's very like anti-Matrix because like the cops, when they get in their gear, they're so like fucking silly looking. It's like these big bubbly helmets. Yeah. And it's just also like they look like, I don't know, they look like action figures. They don't look like people.
I mean, so technically we're still in the performance test. Were there any other actors that were notable? Colin Farrell's in this.
Yeah, he shows up.
Farrell.
That character seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity. I do really like the scene. So there's this big bad that is the originator of the precogs and the pre-crime. And he has covered up a murder in his past, and Colin Farrell's like starting to step into like this murder and figure out the cover up.
Yeah.
And like that scene when he's kind of like unraveling the mystery, that scene I think he's really good, but for the most part it just kind of feels like who is another it guy we can get to be because they have the punch out.
Yeah.
Like he needs to be the other. He's not the main villain. He's this like side guy that actually kind of turns from being sort of the antagonist to coming around on Tom Cruise's side by the time he meets his demise. But I think a different actor might have made a little more meal of it. I'm thinking like a John Turturro
or a Brad Pitt,
or I was thinking like older, like a John Turturro or like a J.K. Simmons or something, like a little more like I'm the suit from down the block and I'm gonna shut this shit down because you're not the. I don't like this.
But isn't that where Max von Sydow comes in?
Yeah. I mean, he is it's interesting because I read the book, and the book is about the guy that's framed for the crime in the book is the creator of the precogs thing. And it says he's going to kill this man who is sort of like a derider of the pre-crime thing. I forget if he's like a scientist or politician or something.
Okay.
And then basically, long way through the book, at the end of the movie, at the end of the book, it goes, the creator has to decide whether he will kill this man and like ensure that, it's true. My system works, and he does that. Like he goes through with that. And we kind of have the same thing at the end of this movie, but instead this guy's the villain. And he has to decide whether I'm going to kill Tom Cruise right now, or I'm going to be proven correct,
right,
or not. And it's just it's kind of weirdly splintered the main character of the book into two different characters that are the protagonist and the villain, and it kind of like uncomplicates what would have been a more complicated story when you're. Like the story of the book is more about the mind experiment of like, does free will exist? Especially if Tom Cruise knows that he's supposed to kill this man in an hour. Well, how could I, now that I know that, how could I possibly go through with it?
Sure.
If I'm dedicated to avoiding that situation.
Or is it just inevitable kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of lands on, well, really somebody's pulling the strings, and it's inevitable in the way that a man behind the curtain pulling the strings can inevitably get you somewhere by manipulating things. But it just kind of ceases to be about that conundrum, and like I feel like that's all the book must be about is is that conundrum, and it becomes about Tom Cruise missing a son that he lost at the pool one day.
There's a guy from. You ever seen Band of Brothers?
No.
Which is also Steven Spielberg produced. An actor. He's like blonde haired, got really like sharp blue eyes.
Oh, yeah. He's one of. Are you talking about the guy that's one of the police officers?
I think so. Yeah. I just recognized him. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of had a hard time following along with this, which is fine. I was like, is this the Tenet of the early 2000s? Yeah, let's move on to...
It's funny because he gets on the run, and it's kind of just episodic from there. It's kind of like he just ends up in a greenhouse, and he gets a plot download from this old lady that is, I guess, the original. She's kind of the mother of the precogs.
Yeah.
And she reveals, like I said in the last episode, that like they're the result of mothers doing drugs, doing some certain drug that she'd made, and then these are the children.
Yeah.
It's like taking the blue goo at in Dune.
Yeah.
And now these kids are clairvoyant. But it's also like that scene is also very like, this is the plot download. We're going to sit here and talk mysteriously for the next 15 minutes.
Right.
While we just like, you know, unload the plot on you so we can have Tom Cruise run around more later.
I feel like, I don't know, these types of movies, like the Blade Runner types, they're all like kind of like the same types of plots. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where it's like you got your guy, and then he figures out, oh, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, you get a lot of that. I just feel like we're treading on all too familiar territory with this film. And I agree with what you said about, like, if this was in the hands of a different director, maybe it would have hit a little bit differently.
The Little Spiders feel like the prequel to War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Where it's all just spiders killing people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. This feels like, as we've returned, this is a mid-period of Spielberg. I don't think Spielberg has maybe been very good. For Lincoln, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember it being really good, and that's like a straight drama. But as far as like when he does these blockbusters, like this one, and it's got good reviews, and like you go on Letterboxd and it's pretty highly rated. I don't know, something about it.
He peaked in the 90s for sure.
I enjoy some of it, but it is not. It is neither as mind-blowing or as original as I think I thought it was when I watched it as a teen. Yeah. Now I'm like, you said Fifth Element. Like, once he takes the girl out of the water, it's very Fifth Element for the whole end of the movie.
I think Fifth Element came out after this.
No.
2003, right?
I think Fifth Element's like 96 or 98.
Really?
It's a 90s
okay, well,
movie.
Don't quote me then. Yeah, there's just like a lot, like... I feel like we could just skip straight to Let the Hate Flow Through. But let's get... I'll air out some more gripes once we get to that. Let's get into It's an Art.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
It's an Art Bro is where we talk about the aspects of the filmmaking process, like sets, effects, lighting. I think the first thing you notice about this movie is how just like washed out the lights are and everything is. And I think I get what they're going for, where it's like the white glow of the future, where it's like screens everywhere and white buildings, and but it just, to me, it just looks really murky, and like the way that the effects have aged is just like not phenomenal.
I watched Chris Stuckman's review on this.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was pretty adamant about this film, and talking about the way the world looked and just like the griminess of it. Mm-hmm. And I almost felt like it wasn't enough of that. It was too bright.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, the atmosphere was not there. It's like, you think of Blade Runner, and Blade Runner is like sci-fi 101 as far as like how you build a world, where it's like, okay, this world is bathed in neon lights, and it's rainy, and it's depressing, even though there's these futuristic elements to it where it's like this would seem like a world you would want to live in, but when you get down to the surface of it, it's very dystopian and grimy and authoritarian, you know?
Yeah, or like a RoboCop where there's that very stark difference between it's like, this is Detroit,
Yes.
and then there's like the RoboCop headquarters, whatever the company's name,
Right.
you know, where it's just like stark brick buildings and like brightly lit rooms.
Yes.
And I feel like this movie kind of does that, but it's not as like foregrounded and obvious as I think the point is supposed to be. Like, look at the people in their, you know, the rich guy that runs the precogs, like, you know, all this is at the behest of the rich and wealthy to make them feel healthier. But that is not like foregrounded in a way, either through visuals or through dialogue, in a way that like really comes across. It becomes a movie about Tom Cruise saving the one girl so he can reunite with his son or feel good about his son again.
Right.
You know? And it's not about this like the sci-fi ideas.
Sure.
It becomes about like, oh, does Tom Cruise feel bad about his son still?
Yeah.
Can he fix that?
Yeah.
Will he be a whole man by the end of this movie? Which I was not as invested in as the ideas.
And then, like you're saying, I mean, the ideas are there. You know what I mean? I just think that this was the wrong director. Like you were saying, I like completely lean on that idea where it's like, if this was done by somebody who's more experienced in like true sci-fi realm, even though Spielberg does sci-fi all the time, or before this he did, you know, Close Encounters, E.T., Jurassic Park is also sci-fi. It's like he has a certain lane for that where it's based in realism. Yeah. You know what I mean? In a modern setting, per se. This was like, I don't know. It felt like George Lucas, kind of. I don't know how to like explain it. It's really bizarre to like.
It looks like the prequel sometimes.
It does. It looked like Coruscant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just didn't look too good. But then I also was like, is this the most interesting, like, looking film as far as like Spielberg, his filmography, where it's like, is this the most interesting kind of world he's built? You know? But then it's like, no, not really. But also, I think he tried different things. I think some of the shots are interesting. Like the eye sequence, that whole scene was pretty fascinating. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's a very bizarre film if you really think about it. Like, I don't know. It's so out of his realm, and that's why I find it interesting. But
we mentioned this in the Jurassic Park review I did, that he had a room filled with projectors that shot at the camera and made lens flares where people have dinner. And then in this movie, the precog room, there's just lights in the wall everywhere to shine into the camera. Yeah. Just a thing I've noticed. Spielberg, the lens flares.
Yeah. You also get a lot of that in Close Encounters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Do you want to talk about when Tom Cruise melts his face? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's a fun sci-fi idea. So he gets like handed this EpiPen basically, and he's like, yeah, you do this, your face will melt. It'll feel like hell, but you'll be unrecognizable for 30 minutes.
Right.
It also feels like a little like wink wink, hey, this guy does Mission Impossible. Remember when he changes his face? You know, remember he takes off those masks?
Yeah.
Remember this guy?
Yeah.
And the Colin Farrell's death gets me. It's surprising. I wasn't like feeling it, but I was like, oh damn, he dies right now? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You really think he's a character that can make it to the end, and he just gets shipped the F out of there.
You need some of that, you know what I mean?
And they did get a lot of stuff right. Like I mentioned the eye scanners earlier, and just the way the like personalized ads, like he walks down that one hallway and the ads all changed based on like the person walking past at the moment. He walks into Gap and there's like an AI assistant there that's like, good evening, Mr. Yakutami, because he has some Asian man's eyes apparently. Thank you did you like all of those A shirts you bought last time?
See, that's the kind of dystopian stuff I love. Like it's the loudspeaker when you're walking down the street, where it's like it makes me think of like Children of Men or something, where it's like it's showing an ad for why crime rate is down, and you know how this can affect you and what you can do about it. And it's all that like authoritarian stuff that I love. in these types of films, where it's like, I want more of that. I want more of the cynical ads. You know what I mean? I don't know.
There's a lot of companies paid a lot of money to get their ad placements.
Yeah.
I think so he has this like futuristic Lexus or Hyundai, I forget what it was, but they paid like $20 million or $10 million to get that ad placement and have like their car be the future car of the new Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg vehicle.
I think they did that in iRobot too. There's like that car that he used and it had those like circular spherical wheels or whatever.
All the car sequences, I was like, iRobot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I think iRobot came out after this. So
it did.
You would suppose. But that's this early 2000s sci-fi. There's a lot of like big ideas and bad effects. That's like
absolutely
the whole era.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, now I've seen Blade Runner 2049. I've seen Dune Part 2. It's hard to go back. It's really hard. Even some of like I don't know, I watched Empire Strikes Back not too long ago. And I love the way that film looks. But there's just some things where I'm just like, that doesn't work for me. Or especially when you get into like the George Lucas, his meddling post release. Just a lot of that, man. I hate the added digital effects because he's just so terrible with them, and he uses too much. It's that whole washed out look that I just absolutely hate from the early 2000s stuff. It looks too clean. I hate it.
Yep.
So
I would call this movie pretty ugly, and I do think like the action sequences, like I mentioned with the one earlier, they're just kind of at odds with the rest of the movie. Like the jetpack action sequence is kind of like goofy, and again more like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is this a silly future world or is this a creepy future world? Because it kind of can't be both, and it tries to do both.
I actually really like the effect when the police drop down in that original sequence, or the first sequence when they are stopping that guy in bed with that other dude. Yeah. I like that whole sequence where they just kind of drop down and the particles flying. I like that. It looked kind of cool. Yeah, the Iron Man stuff didn't work for me. The whole the Jarvis shit. Yeah, that didn't work for me at all. But
snap zoom. I like the characters. That's the guy that sits at the desk. He was a good cop. I
kind of like the cars. They're the sideways cars that they go down like that. The street level just drops and then they're flying down, and Tom Cruise had to jump from car to car. I kind of like that, but then it was kind of stupid.
That's very prequels.
Yeah,
it's very Anakin Skywalker jumping from car to car in Coruscant.
I'm pretty sure George Lucas saw that scene. He was like, I need that in my next
It's
movie.
ILM, so it's the same company doing this stuff near the same time.
Yeah. It's so interesting how Blade Runner was panned by critics, but everybody used elements from that movie.
Well, it's also a movie that got recut a million times because I think the theatrical release has Harrison Ford doing the disinterested voiceover that he purposefully did bad because he thought it was a stupid idea and wanted them to not use the footage.
Right.
So he did it so terribly, but no, it just ended up in there because they decided they needed voiceover to make it make sense.
I just find it interesting how it just seems like every sci-fi movie that's based in like a city or something, it's all just Blade Runner again.
It is the touchstone for almost all modern sci-fi worlds. Should we move on to, hey, what are you trying to say?
All right, let me just get that last measurement on your
Thank you. I need this for the wedding.
Okay, well,
I need it really quickly.
It could take about a week to do.
It could take a week?
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you trying to say? He's trying to say that I'm so big, my bum is so big, you need to order to various countries far away to get enough material to make a pair of pants so I can fit my incredibly obese buttocks into a pair of your specially made little suits.
No, I mean I'm the only one working here this week.
Oh, okay.
That would be great. You touched on the idea of free will and whether or not we have free will. And that's just an interesting subject to begin with, because that's based in real life. It's like, are we in control of our destiny and our fate?
Yeah.
And I think that's something a lot of people have pondered over, especially in religion, and just the purpose of life. It's just an interesting subject, and a lot of people have a lot of different interpretations. I personally would say it's just the universe, how the universe works. It's very chaotic and unpredictable, and most of the time we're just numbers. And I think that's all it really is. But some people would beg to differ. In this movie, it's like you were saying with I guess they have free will, but unless it's being tampered with by outside forces, kind of.
Yeah, I think the movie kind of lands on that the whole precog thing was false. Like the Minority Report, the name in the title is, so there's the three siblings that are all in the pool, and they're all like hooked together, and every once in a while a Minority Report, which would be like the daughter, the girl will
see an alternate
future compared to the rest. And there was like a log that has the report of all the times that their futures have not aligned.
Yeah.
So that there's still chaos in the system. That like, sure, you can things can be predictive, but they're never fully.
Is this the first
sealed.
Multiverse movie?
What?
No.
Are we in a multiverse? And that goes hand in hand with like police overreach, which is very like RoboCop. Like the police are like, "Whoa, these guys are fucking out of control."
Yeah.
Like
innocent until proven guilty.
They start talking to themselves as like how we're like we're more like priests than cops or something. Like hold themselves to a really high standard, and they're very kind of gross. And it's just very. The future of just the everyday spy tech, just the constantly being monitored, and invaded, your privacy being invaded by authorities, like the way they throw the little spider robots that go scan everyone's eyes, and it's like, it's shown to be very, disconcerting and very violating.
Right.
There's like numerous shots of kids just crying there, and the mother being like, "Just baby, just take it, and it'll be done in a second. Just hold still."
Oh yeah, that's some creepy stuff for sure. Is this like the entire plot of Looper? Isn't Looper like this, where it's like stopping crime before it happens?
No.
Right?
No, Looper is like the opposite. They are sending people in the future, well, maybe in the future, which we don't see as much of in Looper. They have, like, murder's been eliminated. They can figure out, I think, via evidence that the murders.
Oh, they go back in time and kill the person before they do something awful.
Yeah, they send the person back in time that they want to have murdered and have them killed in the past.
Right.
So there's no trace in the future.
Okay.
So the same but different, but not really same. Also, that is a movie that features, like, a child with... that can like tear people apart with his mind.
Oh yeah,
you forget about that.
Yeah,
you mostly think about Bruce Willis and JVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme. No, what is his name? JDJ, RDJ.
Jordan
Robin from Batman.
It's Robert Jordan Jr. What's that fucking guy's
that
name?
One kid from Third Rock from the Sun.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, you mostly think about them sitting at a table talking about time.
Yeah.
But that's what it's trying to say. It's pretty classic sci-fi tropes. And guess what? All these sci-fi, writers' warnings haven't stopped us from just being more, overrun with oversight from our corporations and from our governments.
Big thing with sci-fi is also like the special boy. That's like a big thing. Sci-fi.
Also a thing that is special to Philip K. Dick novels, and I only know this because I watched a movie based on A Scanner Darkly, or the movie's called A Scanner Darkly. I guess I don't know what the book is named. And it's about a future where a bunch of people are hooked on this new drug. And I guess Philip K. Dick himself was a drug user. And Tom Cruise's character in this movie also is like hooked on this drug. And he's kind of just like a functional drug addict.
Right.
And at the end of that movie, which is a movie I really love, we should do it sometime. At the end of A Scanner Darkly, he has this dedication where he's like, this story is dedicated to all my friends whose only mistake was trying to like have fun, trying to play and let them play again. And I like that there's a little, I mean, it's not called out, but it's like, oh, this guy, our hero, also a drug addict.
Right.
And it's not like people talk badly about it around him, but I don't think the movie ever really shakes its finger and is like, Tom Cruise is a bad guy because he's an addict.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Which is interesting.
A lot of people are even justifying it. His wife, who is the I don't know, the lady from Cold Case, she talks about, like, well, of course he's hooked on drugs. He's racked with guilt from losing his son at the just busiest day at the pool I've ever seen. There's no room to play.
Those dystopian
If I showed up
pools,
at that
man.
pool with my son, I'd be like, we're going home.
Yeah, we're going home. Also, it's like taking a bath with a bunch of people. I'm good.
And some of those people are pissing in there.
Yeah. There's a little turd floating up to the top. I'm good.
Kaylin, should we let the hate flow through you?
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
I feel like we've already aired out quite a bit of gripes and annoyances. Anything that we didn't talk about that kind of stands out to you?
Tom Cruise uses his yelling voice near the end of the movie, and I was not convinced at all. It sounded like when he was yelling at those people at the set of Mission Impossible 5 or whatever during COVID. Remember when he did that? And he was like, "We're here for everyone." So many people are counting on us. I'm here to save movies. I'm Tom Cruise. I'm making Top Gun. And then that I believed. Him at the end of this movie, not as much.
Well, then, like, you look at him, he's like 4 feet tall. And he's like yelling. Like, calm down there, little buddy.
Look at my son, my beautiful son.
In Family Guy, they have a recurring character, which is Tiny Tom Cruise, and he kind of runs around. He's the same size as, like, Stewie. And he's just got giant teeth, and he's just running around all over the place. That's pretty funny. He also, like, looks like Eminem sometimes. Got some Slim Shady vibes going on.
I want to hear Tom Cruise rap.
That would be quite interesting. You know who was a rapper at one point?
Will Smith.
Well, yes. But Joe Pesci. Like a couple rap songs where he like actually rapped.
Probably sounded just like Action Bronson.
He was like, "Yo, my wise guy."
Hey, Tone. Drop a beat.
It's called Minority Report, T. It's a movie that's a ripoff of so many different other better films. Yeah, I think that's my biggest gripe. It's just that there's so many better films.
When I sit down and watch a Spielberg movie, I'm expecting to see at least one person get splooged in the face. Nobody got splooged in the face this movie.
That make you very disappointed, huh?
I was disappointed. It was just kids crying because robots are grabbing their faces.
Well, it still involved the face.
It did involve, but it was not a splooge. It was a laser. And the laser doesn't count.
I don't know. Maybe we're grasping at thin air here. We just saw a couple movies of Spielberg where he had this splooging thing going on, and
I guarantee you there will be more splooge, and we can talk about it more when we discuss what.
Did he directed Raiders, right?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay, you remember when the guy's face melted? It's kind of like a splooging. You know?
He was like a holy splooging.
God, no pun intended.
All right, yeah. Let's vote, and then let's talk about what movie we're gonna do next.
Let's do it.
Okay, so will this be a perfect movie?
You lost a baby brother. Perfect in every way. I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother, and he was perfect. Perfect in every way.
No. Didn't particularly like it. I'm glad I didn't buy it.
You were close to buying it.
$2 more to buy it rather than rent it.
Yeah, no.
And I said, save those $2.
No, I don't think you'll ever go back to that. Yeah, I just think, again, there's so many better films of this genre. I think it treaded familiar water, and I just was not impressed. I was quite bored, honestly. That's okay. That's okay. I'm glad I checked it out. I like that I get to go through these directors and kind of see their evolution or just when they try different things, I think it's interesting. Like this for Spielberg, so different. And I appreciate you trying, buddy. Don't do it again. Oh no, Ready Player One. He tried it again.
No.
Oh no.
It's the future.
But this time, everything's in it. It's everything everywhere all at once. Jurassic Park, Gundam, the Iron Giant. So many things.
Look, it's King Kong.
Oh my God. It's like I don't know what's worse. I think I'd mentioned this before. I don't know what's worse, this or or that movie or the new Space Jam with all the characters.
All the characters. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Dead heat.
Anyways.
One is a little bit less of like just a WB advertisement. It's just all the Warner Brothers characters saying David Zaslav just like drooling. Do you remember all our recognizable IP?
Remember Rick and Morty voiced by
not that guy.
Would you recommend Minority Report?
If you're a big sci-fi head, I would check it out. But if you're not deep in the sci-fi, I think it's worth a shout. It's worth a check, but it's not earth-shattering.
It's got a high percentage on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a well-reviewed movie. People love it.
I mean, I've definitely heard of it, and I'm surprised this is my first time watching it. You would have thought I've seen it before, especially like there was a time where I was like you, where I was just kind of going through sci-fi when in my younger years, and I'm surprised I never hopped on that. And that's how I watched like Equilibrium, just randomly one night I was watching it.
This one, sketchy PG-13. There's a couple things that I'm like, whoa.
For sure.
This is definitely why I could watch it, because if it was like an R-rated one.
I always feel like PG-13 is just always kind of sketchy. There's like always like moments where it's like, they drop the F-bomb out of nowhere.
He did one.
Yeah. Or like, I'm thinking about those PG-13 horror movies. Like they tread the line, even though there's no like blood and gore, but it's like, this is not suitable for a 13-year-old. But anyways, yeah. So I guess if you haven't seen Minority Report, if you're into sci-fi, check it out. Michael, what should we talk about next?
Okay, so I think we need to find 2 movies from Steven Spielberg's filmography, which we've gone through a few not so great ones, so I think we need to land on at least one that we are like, this is a stone cold classic, which isn't hard. I mean, you could do Indiana Jones. You could do Saving Private Ryan if you want to be a little more serious. You could do Jaws or E.T. Catch Me If You Can.
I just watched that recently. I don't think it warrants an entire episode.
Schindler's List.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I don't know if we want to tread that, especially in this climate.
We're not doing the Holocaust movie. Sorry. The Terminal. Close Encounters. AI.
I think Close Encounters might be our winner.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I wish I could remember off the top of my head the little song they play. Da, 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 da. That's it.
Yeah.
We can do Close Encounters.
So we're doing 2?
2.
Okay, I say Close Encounters.
And The Color Purple.
I mean, that's a good movie. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
BFG, which I think stands for Big Fucking Guy.
Big Friendly Giant here, buddy. Come on.
I was very confused where the F was in there.
Big fucking giant. Yeah, so my first vote is Close Encounters. I don't think we've done like a classic like alien movie yet, so that's
Close
a good
Encounters,
one.
Okay.
Because then we can get into some interesting topic about discussions about UFOs,
Ooh,
which is a hot topic.
All the real alien sightings that you're up to date on.
Yes.
Okay, so Close Encounters, I like. I feel like Saving Private Ryan or an Indiana Jones might be warranted. If we want to go, what is this bad? We could go Ready Player One. If we want to go modern, he has lots of like random modern dramas. Some of them I have and haven't seen. I know Lincoln is good, but it is just a bunch of guys talking in this 1860s. Really good Daniel Day-Lewis. But
War of the Worlds, we could do a double alien feature, which are 2 completely different types of alien movies.
I rewatched War of the Worlds and I don't.
You didn't like it?
we're going to be back in Tom Cruise runs through CGI land.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's where you want to be. Although my pitch was going to be AI, which I haven't seen other than watching it a little bit as a child, and it's scaring the crap out of me. And it's creepy. Haley Joel Osment is an AI like replacement of, I think, the couple whose like son died. And then it kind of turns into a Pinocchio thing.
Oh, I'm trying to be a real boy.
It's like futuristic. All I know is Jude Law's in it.
That could be interesting.
And it's around this time.
There's also
sci-fi.
West Side Story.
Yeah, that's like his newest movie, I think.
2021.
No, Fabelmans is.
I don't know why it has Back to the Future on here, because that's a Robert Zemeckis movie.
He might be a
producer,
probably. Amistad. The Adventures of Tintin.
No, thank you.
I've heard it's good.
I've heard decent things about it too, but at the
Jaws. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
You want to do Jaws?
I'm just naming movies.
I think we should do so. Close Encounters is an older film. I think we should probably do something that's closer to the time.
Ready Player One.
Oh God, I don't know if I could do it. I really don't know if I could do that. I'll let you choose the next one since I chose Close Encounters.
Okay, so this is sketchy for me because you're asking me to either choose a movie probably a movie I haven't seen. Because a lot of these newer ones I've not.
I mean, we could do AI.
And AI I really haven't seen. I only know of it.
Okay,
mostly.
let's do AI then.
All right. We're going to stay sci-fi then. Close Encounters and AI.
Yeah, buddy. I'm down for that.
All right, we'll find out if Steven Spielberg has a sci-fi movie in him that we like.
We'll find out if Steven Spielberg does any gloopy stuff.
Banana. I have rewatched Close Encounters semi-recently.
I think I did too.
It's pretty good.
It's a great movie. Yeah, it's great. Also, annoying kids.
You can't get away from guys who don't want to be dads.
Yeah, and he like actually jumped ship.
He's like peace.
Well, actually, they left him, but which was kind of unwarranted. He was just building like little, mountains with mashed potatoes.
No, it escalates from there. Do you remember when
he made the actual mountain in his bedroom?
He's shoveling dirt throrough a window into his house and then makes the mound.
I think that was post family leaving though, so
that's true.
Things didn't get that bad yet. That was like one of those characters I felt so bad for. I was like, this guy, he was just a normal dude, man. Aliens had to come and fuck some stuff up. But
what if the aliens, a movie that asks the question, what if the aliens just wanted to play a little ditty with us,
They just wanted to use a synthesizer.
Yeah, let's do a jam sesh. They're like jazz musicians. Like from Jungle Book.
Yeah. If I just play Baby Shark on the piano, the aliens will know I'm friendly.
They'll leave.
They'll be like, oh, fuck this. There are no signs of intelligent life anywhere.
That's what his shirt says, and it has an alien on it.
Yes.
And it has a UFO that's, they beamed them.
As a ufologist,
yeah,
this is right up my lane.
Hook?
Yes. Because
Minority Report? That shirt. What is up your lane?
Everything.
Oh. Interesting.
I should be I want to be the spokesperson for the human race when they do arrive. I want to be the ambassador, as they say.
Yeah, you got to make sure they aren't afraid of birds, because that's what went wrong in Mars Attacks.
You also got to make sure you don't have a cold when you talk to them, because that's what happened in War of the Worlds.
Hold on, that's genius. Give it a cold. Who am I? We can give it a cold. A cold. Dad, you're genius. I'm Jeff Goldblum at the end of Independence Day when he realizes that he's going to download a virus from his Apple MacBook onto the spaceships and make them crash.
You're the first person that's ever done a Independence Day reference before. I don't remember.
You never heard anyone say, "Welcome to Earth."
I just remember Will Smith going, "I need me one of those."
And being like, "My wife's a stripper, and I'm proud of that."
Was she actually a stripper?
Yeah.
She had no reason to be a stripper.
I guess
they were doing fine.
I think she did it for the joy.
They lived in like the hills of Los Angeles.
Because remember, she wanders around with the first lady, and she's like, "Oh, you're a dancer? Tasteful?" And she's like, "Mm-mm."
Oh.
She's like, I throw that thing back. That's what she said.
And then, that's what Will Smith likes.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't. She had more hair in that movie.
Yeah. We can't talk about that. We cannot.
Is there somebody knocking at your door?
All I know is, if I've learned anything from watching recent Oscars, is we should not address how much hair is or is not on Jada Pinkett Smith's head.
It's Will Smith. I'm scared.
Keep my wife's name
out your fucking mouth. I need me one of those.
Okay. Alternate future. Will Smith is the lead in Minority Report. We've yeeted him out of iRobot.
But then you would have a totally different movie tonally.
That's what I'm saying. I
think it would be a comedy.
Will Smith, maybe he's more of a Spielberg guy.
I could agree. Yeah, you make it more like a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, he takes a punch and he's like, damn,
Okay, to be fair, if you watch like I Am Legend, he's able to do serious stuff.
No, he does.
And he was good in that.
I just feel like he's got some swag. Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
He doesn't have swag. He's like a driven man. He's like a torpedo of a human. You just send him in one direction and Tom Cruise go.
Remember in I Am Legend when he was Shrek?
Yeah.
That was like the most fun part of that movie.
What is it? Hey, Fred! What the hell are you doing out here, Fred?
Or when he kills the dog. We should do I Am Legend sometime.
We should do Will Smith month.
We should.
Smith-tober.
Smith
September.
Smith-tember? Yeah.
Smith-tember.
We need to do a Denzel Washington month.
That's true.
Because I've been like going through, I have days where I just go through Denzel Washington movies. I'm like, I just love seeing this guy. Even though most of the movies he's in are terrible. But it's like he always puts in like his number one effort.
And he also just is that guy.
He's a very classy individual.
When somebody says you're not that guy, pal?
He is that guy.
He is that guy.
He is that guy.
And he just walks in and does that.
He'd be like, I shouldn't say it.
You're getting more Samuel L. You're getting more. You sound like you're gearing up to do. Right. It's the wall just got bad. Motherfucker on it.
All right, let me get this.
Make sure your lips hanging a little bit.
All right. Okay. All right. You come over here. And you do this. All right. My nigga. Training Day. We got to do Training Day.
And we got to do Remember the Titans.
Oh, he was like, racism. All right. Okay. You gonna get out there.
40 million people died in Gettysburg.
My brothers. Okay. Y'all need to get out there. Become one.
I can't do Denzel, so I'm just going to do left side,
strong side. Strong side. Left side. Strong side. That had a young Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
It also had the guy from American History X. And he's not racist. He's the only white guy in that movie that's not racist. And then he becomes the most racist man in American History X. Comes to
Is
skinhead.
he Bertier?
No, he's the chubby guy, the big guy.
Oh, he's in American History X?
Mm-hmm.
I think of him as the guy from My Name is Earl.
He's in that too?
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I don't know. There's a lot of like the black guy.
Scrubs.
Julius.
Oh.
Yeah, well, there's Scrubs guy is in there. Julius
is also...
He's like a decent actor. He's in like a lot of stuff. He was in the Judge Dredd movie.
I want to say he's in Judas and the Black Messiah. He's the rival gang leader.
He is, I think. And then he's also in the not Public Enemy, but there's a Hood movie from back in the day that was pretty decent. He was in
not Boys in the Hood.
No, I forget what it was
Jack
called.
City?
No. That's
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
But he could have been a side character.
That's another dark-skinned man. So I can see how you can get that mixed up, but Michael, you're showing your true colors recently. I'm just saying.
That was the real Minority Report. It was me snitching on myself.
Oh, Jesus.
The real Minority Report was the friends we made along the way.
Thank you for choosing me as one of your buds. You look past the big lips.
We are in just, Act 1 of our Jordan Peele movie, and you will be murdered.
Oh, no.
By the end of Act 2.
If you're watching a Jordan Peele movie, you will be murdered.
Okay, well, I will attempt to murder you after I show you that everything that I've done this whole time is actually because I secretly hate black people.
Okay, colonizer.
Okay, well. So, next week, what movies do we decide? Close Encounters? And AI.
AI, yeah.
Sci-fi.
You know what? I think these are two good movies to like speak on the current climate because, AI is a hot topic.
We're going to get big clicks on that one.
UFOs, hot topic. Yeah. Anyways, we'll see you next time.
Kaylin, so Netflix recommendation, watch the movie The Wailing. It's a Korean movie about a murder, and maybe there's some horrific circumstances surrounding it.
Those Korean movies can be quite violent. Especially like the more horror elemented like stuff.
It's also really funny in the first 30 minutes.
Really?
So recommend.
Unintentionally funny or just funny?
Intentionally. It's that I feel like I've only watched so many Korean movies, but I feel like they love to do like quirky humor and then like something really vile or like dark happens all at the same time.
I want to see Parasite. I have not seen Parasite. It's like a critically acclaimed film.
That's the #1 all-time Letterboxd movie of all time.
Seriously.
I think it's the most logged.
I need to see Parasite. Have you seen Squid Game?
No.
I know that you're not a big TV series guy, but if you ever watch something, watch Squid Game. Squid Game is great.
I watch Squid Game. Squid Game.
It's the same kind of deal with like it's the kind of like dark comedy, but then they do something completely vile and disgusting and put people in horrible circumstances. It's great. Also directed by a Korean director. Snowpiercer is another great film.
Those are both Bong Joon-ho flicks.
Sounds like a restaurant.
Minority Report.
No fucking way.
Minority Report is going to be my new code word for you said some racist.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys.
We're going to sign off before we end it. I brought it back and we went too far. So, next episode will be either AI or Close Encounters as we continue Spielberg summer. Until then.
I was going to... Just kidding. We're good. Sign off.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs.